fake tears at Bondi Beach, using a terrorist atrocity to sell her shitty clothing.
Let's talk about the damage. I mean, look, from where I sit, what you have is an extraordinary situation where two people who have caused intense damage to the reputation of the royal family and the institution of the monarchy are now running a kind of renegade rival royal family, engaging in rival tours and going to places like Australia, and that can only be ultimately more damaging for the actual royal family.
The fake tears made me ill.
Friday morning, Bondi Beach. Cameras rolling, survivors waiting. And then, on cue, a single tear slid down Meghan Markle's left cheek while she sat across from Australian families whose loved ones had been taken in the country's worst attack since 1996. You've seen the clip by now.
Go and be what the Spotify executive called them, a pair of effing grifters. If they want to go and make a ton of money, out of being Harry and Meghan, fine. But to do it under the guise of titles bestowed by the royal family and monarchy, which they have spent years trashing, I think is unacceptable.
Piers Morgan played it on Thursday nights uncensored. Tom Sykes wrote about it the next morning. Every paper in Britain has run the still frame. But here's the part nobody's saying out loud yet. That same woman, on camera, in 2014, before she ever met a royal, told a room full of people at Soho House in Toronto that she had one party trick she could do better than anyone. Verbatim. They're like, Meghan, one tear, left eye, go. She counted to 3. She did it.
Gross. It was absolutely a case of this.
Now make yourself cry.
Yeah. Oh, I can do that so well. Oh my God, it's crazy. You're like, Meghan, one tear, left eye, go.
Yeah.
Give me 3 seconds.
Yeah, we know.
Now watch the Bondi footage back. I've rewatched it maybe 15 times at this point. Something in the blink pattern right before the tear drops does not sit easy. Her lashes flicker twice, fast, like she's forcing a reflex. And the tear arrives from the same eye she trained herself on more than a decade ago at a members club in Toronto. When she was still auditioning for pilots, nobody remembers now.
The titles need to be stripped. It needs to happen, and from everything I'm told, William is all for just cutting the cord, cutting them out, and it's Charles who is the soft touch, who is very, very reluctant to do so.
Piers Morgan watched that footage on his Thursday panel and said what half the Commonwealth had already been typing into comment sections all week. This is not grief. This is a performance. And the outfit, the cream coat, the boots, the bag, went live for sale on her new fashion platform before the camera crew had packed up their kit. 15 people lost their lives at Bondi Beach last December at a Hanukkah celebration, a 10-year-old boy among them. 2 assailants launched the attack with Islamic State flags sitting in the boot of their vehicle. And Meghan Markle walked in to meet the survivors wearing an outfit that linked to an affiliate commission.
Literally all of them, even the B-listers, could easily get crowds to follow them and make it look like they are just sort of these world ambassadors.
Hold that thought, because the 2014 clip I'm about to show you from Toronto changes everything about this week and about every public tear this woman has shed since. Three days before Bondi, Tuesday the 14th of April, Meghan was at the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne, adolescent oncology ward. A teenage patient called Hamish, teddy bears on the bed. The hospital CEO saying lovely things to the press about how meaningful the visit had been for his staff. Within hours, and Complex Magazine, Marie Claire, and the Daily Mail all documented this separately. The Karen G. Priscilla dress Meghan had worn to meet those children was live on her new fashion site. The platform is called One Off.
But what I found really just so disgusting about this whole visit was that within minutes of Meghan turning up there, the outfit that she was wearing was being monetized on the One Off platform.
Yes.
Which and I know we're going to get into the same thing happening at Bondi, which I just find so revolting. I can barely find words to describe it.
The dress listed at roughly £660. Earrings on the same page. Shoes linked out. Meghan reportedly takes an affiliate commission of somewhere between 10 and 25% on every sale. The Daily Mail and Tom Sykes differ on the exact number. Meghan is also an investor in One Off. She announced her stake publicly on Tuesday the 14th of April, the same day she walked into that cancer ward. Tom Sykes wrote about it on Friday. You need to understand who Tom Sykes is before I read you his words, because this part really matters. Sykes has covered the royal family for 15 years. He is European editor-at-large at the Daily Beast. He runs The Royalist on Substack with over 65,000 paid subscribers. Historically, he has been fair to the Sussexes, skeptical of the anti-Meghan hate channel ecosystem, cautious with unsourced claims.
But this is what pisses me off, Tom. This, right here. She sold her outfit. Sold her damn outfit that she was wearing on Bondi while supposedly touring and seeing the scene, and she's literally looking giggly and happy while on the same sands where a Jewish massacre occurred on Hanukkah. I'm so disgusted by this. Not only is it monetizing this, but it's just so crass to release this on your shopping site of, look at me giggling, people died here, I'm so great.
On Friday, Sykes published a piece under this headline. The headline is a direct quote. I have not softened it. Meghan just turned a massacre site into an online shopping mall. The subheading ran as follows. And I want you to listen to the last 3 words of it, because nobody in the royal press has used this phrasing about Meghan Markle until this week. When you are meeting people affected by an anti-Semitic mass shooting, making a quick buck off the event is a revolting dereliction of one's duty as a human, not as a royal, as a human. When Tom Sykes starts writing sentences like that, the conversation has moved. That is a signal from inside the fair-minded wing of the royal press corps, the wing that used to give her the benefit of the doubt that a line got crossed this week that will not be uncrossed. You do not monetize a cancer ward. Full stop. And monetizing an Australian tragedy 3 days later, while the survivors are still in the room with you, is a whole separate category of behavior.
How is someone who does these horrible things allowed to be put in these positions to help her uplift herself or her brand and to sell clothing nonetheless? It makes absolutely no sense to me how this is even able to happen. It is a grift of proportions that is mind-boggling to me. I just cannot understand why there is not a movement against what Meghan is doing, considering we see her grifting off a tragedy. She is a disaster tourist. Why is she allowed to do this? I cannot understand this horrible thing that this woman is doing. We all see it.
The one-off launch timing is either the most catastrophic PR coincidence in modern royal history, or it is exactly what it looks like. A fashion product launch, with Australian tragedy booked as the marketing backdrop. Archive.org screenshots still exist. The outfit eventually got pulled from the site after the backlash broke. Too late by then, but that is still not the worst detail in this story, because the next chapter is about to tell you something Meghan Markle said about herself in her own voice 11 years ago that nobody in the royal press has connected to Bondi yet.
These two, she can't get over some bad press she had. That's the terrible stuff that's happened to her. And he can't get over tragedy that has happened to him, but it was 30 years ago, Rob.
Right.
Okay, here's the clip. Toronto, Soho House, late 2014. Meghan is 33 years old. She plays Rachel Zane on Suits. She has not met Prince Harry. Nobody outside the Suits fandom knows her name. An interviewer asks her about her acting skills. Can you cry on demand? Meghan laughs. And then, and I want you to find this clip yourself tonight, because it is still on YouTube, it is still on TikTok. The search takes 60 seconds. She says this, word for word. Oh, I can do that so well. Oh my God, it's crazy. They're like, Meghan, 1 tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds. Then she does it, on camera, a single tear, left eye, exactly the way she described. I had to watch the clip 3 times to make sure I was not imagining the specificity, because she did not just say, I can cry on command, she gave the exact stage direction, the eye, the side, the timing, like a golfer talking about club selection, a trained, rehearsed, muscle memory acting trick that she described with professional pride to an interviewer on a recording that has now sat on the public internet for 11 years.
He doesn't smile, and he doesn't smile. And I will say this, you know, he's good when he talks about the Invictus Games. And that's what he was doing today. He was talking about that. And I think fantastic. That is a very great charity.
Yeah,
but you look over at Meghan, and she's the complete opposite. She's beaming at the moment because, you know, to the point that was made earlier, she's profiting off the clothing she's wearing. She's got a $1,200 dress on. She's got a Christian Dior pumps on. She's got the Cartier bracelets, the Tiffany bracelets. She's put it all onto her online AI platform. So she's going to these women's homeless shelters wearing these outfits and profiting of it. So you can see where the disparity is between
I would say
the
her biggest problem from the start has just been the tone deafness, just not really getting it.
Apply that to Bondi, a woman who publicly boasted in 2014 about her ability to force a tear from her left eye on a 3-second count. 11 years later, walks into the site of an anti-Semitic attack that took 15 Australian lives with a camera crew beside her and produces a tear from her left eye. Look, I am not a body language expert. You are not a body language expert. We do not need one. Meghan Markle herself told the entire world on camera over a decade ago that this specific physical act, 1 tear, left eye, 3-second count, was a party trick she had personally mastered. She explained the mechanics. She demonstrated it on command, on a recording that never went offline.
They spend all their time railing about children not being on the internet and not being out for public consumption. All right, maybe some of the children's parents said okay. One child, we know the parents did. There were other children whose parents didn't look like they were standing behind the child, so we don't even know if they were there. But you definitely do not put people with mental health issues on air or on the internet.
When she performs the same act at a memorial for 15 Australian lives lost in an anti-Semitic attack, the burden of proof is not on the skeptics. It is on her. Her spokesperson so far has said precisely nothing about the 2014 clip, because what would they say? That she never said it? The video is up. That she has forgotten the skill? Muscle memory like that does not just vanish. Silence is its own answer.
One tear, left eye, go, give me 3 seconds. Well, that's exactly what she did at the weekend. Gross, and inappropriate.
Royal biographer Angela Levin is not a fringe voice. She wrote the most read biography of Prince Harry before the Oprah interview. She had full access to him for 2 years. She is respected, sourced, and, until 2021, was broadly sympathetic to the Sussexes. In September 2022, 3.5 years ago, during the wall-to-wall coverage of Queen Elizabeth's funeral, Levin appeared on Talk TV and said something that nobody wanted to believe at the time. Direct quote, "I have the transcript, here it is. Meghan managed an artificial tear, or at least I think it was. She said the one thing she's learned is how to cry out of her left eye. Count to 4, she said to the person, and watch me, and a tear came down. Count to 4, left eye, tear came down." The phrasing is almost identical to the 2014 Soho House clip. Levin was not speculating. She was referencing a pattern she had personally been briefed on. She named the technique on national television during a state funeral. She got mocked for it. 3 years later, same technique, same eye, same count. Bondi Beach.
It reminds me of Brooklyn Beckham. Right, in my impression of both of them, I have 3 sons, is if one of my sons pulled one of these stunts where they go off and they love the brand and they make tons of money and get social media acclaim and all out of my name, but then they simultaneously trash me and trash my family, I would be absolutely spitting blood about it. And I see the same kind of spoiled sense of entitlement from both of them. And I think it's very sad for all the families. I think that's obvious to everybody.
What Angela Levin did on that Queen Elizabeth funeral broadcast was place a Chekhov's gun on the table and tell us what the gun was loaded with. Nobody wanted to hear it at the time. Even I thought it was a stretch when I first read the transcript. It sounded like the kind of claim that needed a lot more evidence behind it. Then the 2014 clip resurfaced on TikTok a week ago in the context of a totally unrelated Meghan thread, and Levin's warning suddenly made sense in a way it could not have made sense in 2022. Levin is not the only biographer who has written about this either. Valentine Lowe's Courtiers, published in 2022, describes a Meghan who rehearsed her responses before engagements. Tom Bower's Revenge from 2023 has multiple palace staffers describing her as always performing. The theme has been there. Nobody has connected it to a specific verified named physical act until now.
on stage at the not sold out Her Best Life retreat for just 122 minutes before deciding to be booed at football alongside her husband, Prince Harry.
Saturday afternoon, Coogee Beach, Sydney, the Intercontinental Hotel, parts of it still under construction, with the swimming pool and the spa and the bar unfinished behind the event signage, was hosting Meghan's first paid solo retreat, Her Best Life, co-hosted with Jackie, O. Henderson, and Gemma O'Neill. Tickets, 2,699 Australian dollars for the standard pass, 3,199 for the VIP tier, capacity 300. And yes, the research is clear on this. The event quietly released last-minute rooms after an initial sold-out announcement.
She gets in front of this group of women who gathered to celebrate her at $1,700 pop and decided to tell them how terrible her life was, how difficult her life has been. It's amazing how difficult her life has been. And she's traveling around with the Prince of England and going back to her multi-million-dollar Montecito mansion.
Let's say the sellout was generously defined. Meghan arrived shortly after 5 in the afternoon. She left just after 7, roughly 120 minutes on the ground, then a straight line out the side entrance to join Harry at the Waratahs rugby match at Allianz Stadium on the other side of Sydney. Think about that maths for a moment. A paying guest handed over what amounts to 3 months of shopping money in some Australian households for 2 hours of proximity, and the woman collecting the check made her exit before the sun had properly set. Hello Magazine has already nicknamed it Meg's Stock. One Sydney columnist called it the world's most expensive girls' weekend, minus the girl at the center.
That is the character of Meghan Markle. She doesn't care that you spent this money to see her. She is wanting to earn her money and leave as quickly as she can because she just does not care. And I think that's part of her brand. Her brand is, I don't care about you. Spend your money. I don't care. And people, okay, I'll spend my money because we know you don't care, but we care. I mean, it makes no sense why people would even engage this woman with their dollars, their hard-earned dollars. I mean, she is a joke.
Dr. Louise Mahler, the Australian body language specialist, went on 2GB and described the entire tour as alarmingly unreal and a domestic goddess act. She watched the same cameras you watched. She did not buy a second of it. A 7 News Australia commercial writer called Ariana Pizeshki bought a retreat ticket on her own money, privately. The organizers then refunded her ticket and blocked her from attending once they discovered she worked in media. Her exact published words on 7 News. They were no longer able to offer me access because this was a closed-door experience. Closed door for a wellness retreat, with body-worn security scans on the way in and a strict no-recording policy during Meghan's Q&A. A curious level of secrecy for an event about, female empowerment. Here's the thing about that 122-minute appearance. If it had truly been about the women in the room, the hairdressers who flew up from Parramatta, the mums who saved 6 months' salary for a VIP pass from Brisbane, the retired teachers who came from Melbourne, you stay for dinner, you sign a few books, you take the selfies you promised, you do not leave through the side entrance at 7:04 p.m. to catch rugby kickoff, unless the retreat was never really about the women. It was about the photograph of the retreat, and once the photograph existed, the retreat was over.
I have heard from people who have tried to sign up to Meghan's Girls Retreat, which is coming up the weekend after this one, and you're made to fill out a form in which you must disclose your age. These are people who want to pay to go, and I had one woman write to me and say, I had to put my age in, my age is 63, I knew that minute I would be declined. There are still tickets available. They can't sell out this. It's a 300-person venue. She can't sell out 300 seats.
What I would say is Mr. and Mrs. Grifter, Piers, have come to Australia and are using us as a cash cow, essentially. Because what we have seen over the last 2 days is Meghan and Harry using every opportunity for a photo opportunity here, a PR op here. I mean, they love a microphone and they love a camera, don't they? The funniest part about this, Piers, they say that they're just coming here as 2 private citizens. Well, in the last couple of hours, Meghan has been announced, would you believe, as a guest judge judge on the Australian version of MasterChef, as in the cooking show. Now,
well, she is a
apparently
great
she's
cook.
going to be, well, I mean, it's extraordinary because apparently she's going to be providing mentorship and guidance. Now, I don't know about you, but what sort of mentorship and guidance can she possibly be providing? Will she be showing them how she makes her jam or her dog treats? So they're using Australia as a cash cow. They are grifters. That is why they're here.
Thursday, the 17th of April, Piers Morgan Uncensored. The YouTube episode carries the title, They Are Grifters, and runs for roughly an hour. Maureen Callahan joined from New York. Danica DiGiorgio joined from Sydney. Katie Nicholl, Joe Elvin, and former royal butler Grant Harold on the London panel. Tessa Dunlop, historian, occasional Sussex defender, tried to argue mid-show that Harry and Meghan had earned the right to independent public lives with their titles intact. Piers did not let that one pass. His reply, on camera, no edit, straight into the lens. Let's quit the Duchess bullshit. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex? No, I'm from Sussex. Piss off. The panel went quiet for half a beat. Piers kept talking. His argument, and he has been making this on and off for 4 years, but never with this much certainty, is that the king has a functional legal mechanism to strip Harry and Meghan's royal styles, because Charles just used the exact same mechanism.
What I find so interesting about this is that the only thing that makes these two people interesting is the royal family. The one thing they're trying to run away from, the one thing that they say they want no part of, that's all they've got. We're not interested in them for any other reason. Kim Kardashian, you know, a celebrity that we roll our eyes at and we laugh at, but she has created this herself. And so these two were given this, they were given it, and now they're exploiting it. And at the same time saying they don't want to be part of it. So it is so confusing to me what they want here. I think I know what they want, which is they want this fabulous life part-time, and then they want to earn money the rest of their time.
6 months ago, on Prince Andrew, Piers is right. On the 3rd of November, 2025, less than 6 months ago, Buckingham Palace issued letters patent under the Great Seal, formally removing Andrew's style of Royal Highness and his titular dignity of Prince. Andrew became, overnight, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Order of the Garter, annulled. Royal Victorian Order, cancelled. Honorary military ranks, revoked. No act of parliament required, just a quill, a seal, and a signature from the king. Same quill, same seal, same king. The Sussex dukedom itself is a harder question. Stripping a peerage would need primary legislation from Westminster, which the UK government confirmed on the 17th of November. 2025, it has no plans to pursue. But the HRH, the Prince and Princess styling, the public titles on every Sussex event card, from here to eternity. Charles can lift all of that with a single afternoon of paperwork. If he wants to, he does not want to, yet. That is the frustration in Piers' voice on Thursday night. He is not demanding the impossible. He is demanding the consistent.
But I don't understand why you all have such an issue with this. They are not recipients of the sovereign grant. Maybe Australia had to wheel out a couple of sleepy old policemen and women. Big deal, guys. Look at the exposure you're getting. The world's cameras are running around down under, placing you here, there, and everywhere. You're all profiting off Harry and Meghan. Yes.
Tessa, how are Harry and Meghan representing this country right now? Okay, we are in the middle of a cost of living crisis and a fuel crisis here right now, and we are supposed to fork out money for these two on a quasi-royal tour when they are no longer working royals. Why should we be paying for their security and their policing? It's not up to us to be paying for that. If they want to come here, they can do whatever the heck they want.
Let me put it like this. All over.
Andrew lost every royal title in a week after the revelations about his Epstein friendship. Harry and Meghan have spent 5 years monetizing theirs. The Oprah interview, the book Spare, the Netflix docuseries, the podcast deal, the As Ever brand, the one-off platform, the retreat, the cancer ward, Bondi Beach. And Piers' position is that the king has had 0 formal conversations about a pen stroke. Palace sources told Robert Jobson at Page 6 earlier this month that William's camp views this Australia week as the point of no return. Royal commentator Richard Palmer called the Bondi outfit pipeline the starkest example yet of commercializing their royal brand. Katie Nicholl, sitting on the same Piers panel, added that aides around the king are now openly discussing whether the Sussex question has to be resolved before the American state visit. Whether Charles agrees, we are about to find out very soon.
We're watching these two do exactly what they said they didn't want to do. This is why they left the royal family, correct? This is the scene of the original crime in which Meghan Markle, I believe it was very early on in their marriage, she and Harry went on their Australia tour, their inaugural, and she reportedly said, I cannot believe I'm not getting paid for this. This is also the site of her reportedly throwing a very hot cup of tea on a senior aide in a moment of grave displeasure.
8 days from now, the 28th of April, King Charles III addresses a joint meeting of the United States Congress, the first British monarch to do so since Elizabeth II in 1991, a state banquet at the White House, a visit to Virginia, a 9/11 memorial stop in New York, Bermuda on the way home, the first full state visit by a reigning British monarch to America since May 2007. ITV royal editor Chris Shipp has already called it, on camera, the most risky diplomatic trip of King Charles's reign so far. What is Charles walking into? A fortnight of global headlines about his daughter-in-law monetizing outfits at an Australian attack site, a son who quietly asked Australian taxpayers to fund the police protection on what the Canberra Press Corps has been calling out loud, on record, a commercial fake royal tour, a wife who stayed 120 minutes at a retreat where Australian women paid $3,000 each to see her. Kinsey Schofield called it, on Fox News Digital this week, a rent-a-royal tour that blatantly disregards the late Queen's very specific instruction that there can be no half in, half out for the Sussexes.
They pitched being part-time royals, half in, half out, and Queen Elizabeth said, no, that's just not going to work for me. Well, what Harry and Meghan have now figured out, unfortunately, is they do not need the palace approval. He will always be Diana's son. He will always be Harry. People do have a feeling towards him as a little boy walking behind his mommy's coffin. We still all remember that. Her, not so much. But Harry is going to be somebody that we're always going to be interested in, and he's just figured out now that he doesn't need the royals family to be a part-time royal. He is a part-time royal. He will be now for the rest of his life.
Every American network will have the Bondi footage on a loop. Everyone. The choice Charles faces is not theoretical anymore. He either flies into Washington with letters patent ready to sign, the same instrument he used on Andrew 6 months ago, or he flies in as a monarch whose own children have gutted the family brand in full public view, while he waited and watched and forgave. Harold Macmillan once said it, events, dear boy, events. This week was Charles's events. Bondi was the event. The 28th of April is the deadline. And that 2014 clip, the one with the 3-second count from a members club in Toronto, that video is 12 years old now. It will still be online in 12 more. You cannot unsee it now. Neither can the palace. Piers is not going to let this one go. Royals Uncensored, his new royal affairs show with Katie Nicholl and Joe Elvin, launches on the 30th of April, 2 days after Charles lands back in London from Washington. Somebody in that newsroom is already booking a panel on letters patent. The 2014 Soho House clip is sitting in their research folder. I promise you that. If this is the kind of content that keeps you informed, consider subscribing, because this story is not over. Not even close. Meghan taught us the trick. Everyone's watching now.